Ich glaube, soweit haben die meisten auch ihren Platz gefunden. Dann fange ich einfach mal.
If everybody has already found their seats, I'd like to start. Good afternoon, everybody. I think what I'm about to say follows up nicely and dovetails easily with the previous session. That is the augmented reality more than just a hype. I'm Kristine Honig. I work in tourism. I also worked in destination marketing. I started to comment in my blog, in social medias and on the internet, and now I'm working in the team of Tourismuszukunft. We are 12 people, 2 more have actually been added, they're not on the picture yet, and we offer consulting services in tourism focusing on digital. And this is what we all really find most interesting and what we want to really push. Now, when talking about digital change, we quickly arrive at augmented reality. Augmented reality, well, there is a nice YouTube video on augmented reality. If you look for hyper reality, you find it and you get a good impression of what virtual reality could, or augmented reality could look like. So with a little effort, you still see the coach of a tram, but everything else is added on different layers. That is job ads, game ads, all kinds of other things. That is like different layers that cover or partially cover reality. Now, not only the way I just showed you it, augmented reality means more. It means computer-aided expansion of perception of reality. So you need a computer, you need data, and this information can then appeal to all human senses. And it can also not only involve seeing and hearing. Augmented reality could be sensing, could be smelling. I forgot the 5th sense, well, whatever. Now, it's about all ways of perception, all human senses. But we haven't arrived there yet. We're a little further back. That is, we are in the area of hearing and seeing. Information is added. Most of you might know already what Pokémon Go looks like, how it works. You probably tried it. Now, you could hunt Pokémons in this game or in this app, and then in reality you actually find this crab. So for example, on the banks of the River Rhine, you see this crab sit there, but you can't run around it or touch it. It's simply on your screen, but it is a layer that is partially covering reality. And with Pokemon, augmented reality has become more visible among the public, because all of a sudden hundreds of people were standing around in city streets, not only young people, with their mobile phones hunting Pokemons. But that's not the only thing you can do with augmented reality already today. Let's just take a look back. Virtual reality, the virtual reality started already in 2013 with the sales of the developer version of Oculus Rift. Oculus Rift is a pair of goggles. It looks like this. So you can't see through it. It's not transparent. It is like a black visor. So when you put on this virtual goggle, you are in the world that it shows. So you don't see anything else around you. When you put it on here in this hall, you only see what's in the goggles. Oculus Rift has been around since 2013. And when you walk around these fairgrounds, you've seen people with different types of virtual goggles. Augmented reality is slightly different. It looks different from virtual reality, because this is about using the existing reality and adding information. So the goggles look different. Google Glass is one of the main models of these goggles that are available. So you no longer have any glasses, you just look through it. There is a camera in front of your eye that checks what your eye sees and also gives you information. For example, in an ideal case, I would see all your names and the companies you work for when I look at you with Google Glass. So virtual reality and augmented reality, they complement each other. They go in the same direction, but they are two different things. Virtual reality is complete immersion into a completely different world. Augmented reality is expanding the reality you're actually in. And there's several applications that already work. Maybe you know the Leah app. You can use your brochures and add information through augmented reality. So you can add links, photographs, videos. And Wikitude works according to the same principle. It's an app which you can use to travel into the mountains and find the names of the mountains. Wikipedia is integrated, so additional information about your reality is provided. This is another approach. You see the city of Cluny with a large monastery, but it is not complete anymore because it was partly destroyed. But with movable screens, augmented reality recreates the original monastery. And these are not only videos that were produced about the monastery, but if somebody walks through the picture here on the left, the person really walks through your picture also in virtual reality, but you see more buildings than are actually there. So this, of course, has a price to it, and it becomes exciting when there is more movement. Well, to have a screen that is fixed is fine, but we're moving every day, so it becomes more exciting if the tools also move. And one of the first augmented reality goggles was the G goggles, or ski goggles. So it is about skiing. When you go down the slope, you see additional information and you can actually collect points. So it is a little bit like a gaming app. So virtual reality also is about games and about immersion. You saw it with Pokémon Go, and communication also plays a role. So linking up with other people, checking how many points they have scored, how fast they have been, etc. These goggles are being developed further at the moment. They're not only about skiing, they're also about, for example, motorbike riding or sailing. Just look at their website and see what they have in stock. And by the way, they also have a crowdfunding project going on there where people said, okay, I want to support a specific project. I think the best known augmented reality app at the moment is Snapchat. And this is the first time people actually have had any contact with augmented reality in addition to Pokemon. You can actually add different ears to your picture or immerse yourself in water in the photograph. So you're expanding and augmenting reality with this app. Snapchat has been used very widely. Augmented reality is not a niche subject. It is something that is part of our everyday life. However, whether it has already arrived in tourism, I don't know. These are, of course, rather playful apps. Pokemon Go, however, has already influenced tourism. People sat in restaurants longer in order to hunt the Pokemons. Or cities actually supported the game and streets were blocked because there were so many people playing. And the question is also how you deal with these phenomena. For example, the Zeche Zollverein institution, they didn't really want to have Pokemon and they prohibited it on their premises. But you could also word it more positively, saying in addition to your Pokemon Go app, you also get our museum. So it depends on how you deal with all these new phenomena. And now this is also exciting. Where are we all going in augmented reality? These are things we've already had. Now, what is the new development? It's quite exciting to see what the different providers offer. For example, Snapchat is a mobile phone app, and at the moment, what they offer are the spectacles. You can already order them, and they can try them on through augmented reality. So you can put the different colors or goggles with different colors on your photograph on your face. And this is interesting. It shows how augmented reality initiated its buying processes. That is quite interesting. And not all the hotel rooms look the same. People want to have impressions, so you can design hotel rooms differently. And the app providers, they actually enter the market for gadgets that support augmented reality. So it's not a market where the camera manufacturers only focus on, but it's a much wider range. And at the moment, this is an app producing goggles with very few function at the moment. It will be more exciting with more functions. When Google does something, they usually have enough funds to realize big projects. They have lots of developers, and they established a location recognition service, Google Tango. What does Google Tango do? Well, basically, you can have a much more accurate view of where you are. When you played Pokémon, sometimes the app said you're in the middle of the River Rhine, although you were on the banks of the River Rhine. But Google Tango is more accurate. So your mobile phone knows within a range of a few centimeters where you actually are. And it scans the space around you. And if you imagine that my mobile knows basically within a diameter of 1 centimeter more or less where I am, then of course you can use a lot of different information that is much more useful now. Google Tango also promotes navigation, which is a big issue in tourism. How do I get a person from position A to position B? So location recognition, and locating and providing the right information in the right place. What does Facebook do? If we look at Google, we can also look at Facebook. Well, they acquired Oculus Rift a few years ago. They developed it further, and Mark Zuckerberg published this image in his account a few weeks ago, where he wears Oculus gloves. And Spider-Man fans know his gesture. In his perception, looking through the goggles, he can actually shoot the spider web. So this is how the combination works here. You can not only see something through goggles and cannot react to it, but you can actually use your hands and interact. Facebook has been promoting it with an app that enables you to draw, to play the piano, etc. But if you develop it further towards interaction and feeling, you could actually get a feel of different beaches, for example, how fine the sand is, how many pebbles you find. So these are developments Facebook also supports. What is exciting about this is that Mark Zuckerberg himself says that the virtual world becomes easier for customers. So technology is getting smaller, less complicated, more intuitive, and everyone can use it much more easily. And then there is Microsoft. Also, Microsoft offers a pair of goggles, the HoloLens. The HoloLens has been around since 2015. And Microsoft speaks more about mixed reality. We just had virtual reality, limited space, augmented reality, adding things in layers. And with mixed reality, you can interact with objects, people, places you place into your reality. And with augmented reality, you cannot do it. You can turn your head and you can see other things, but you cannot influence them. Here, you can actually interact with the additional features. And reality is still your framework because this is a transparent pair of goggles. And what does Apple do in this context? If we look at all the big players, there's still speculations. There's speculations that they're working on goggles. There are speculations that augmented reality might be integrated into the next iPhone. But speculation always happens before new Apple products are being launched. But what you definitely see is that Tim Cook, Apple's CEO, considers augmented reality highly relevant. So it is clear that also Apple will invest time and money in order to develop technologies that promote augmented reality. So they're also following what's happening there. The question is it more than a hype? Well, I used to have a picture in it, but it's now gone. Sorry. Google, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, etc., they're all working on this. So something must be happening there. Because these companies have money, they have time, they want to make a difference. And they don't invest into things that might not produce a return on investment. So it is a huge issue, a huge topic that you will also be confronted with. Hardware is getting smaller, so you will no longer wear these complicated, huge goggles. In the short term, you can also use smaller lenses and smaller gadgets. It will become more integrated, cheaper. You don't need 100,000 different tools and apps, but it's all about combination. And Joe the plumber and everybody else can use it too. And when we talk about software, speed is important. There is an extreme amount of data that has to be processed here. So what data do we include? What data will be processed? Fast processors is important, intuitive processing, and individual custom-tailored solutions. In the beginning, I gave you the example of the mountains where people could then add the names of the mountains. And the same applies to cities, where you see names of restaurants or special highlights. And what is interesting now is that you can choose what you find interesting and what you don't. And then you only see what you find interesting. And also based on what your friends' preferences are. So this is the development that we can expect. This is the direction we can expect. And what does it mean for tourism? How can we make use of augmented reality? Well, there are lots of things that whet your appetite for it. We in tourism have to show people what is possible. And now there are already virtual reality offers. In Thomas Cook, for example, you can get different goggles to look at different offers. And of course, you can look at cruise ships. You can look at different cities, what they look like and what they feel like, and then decide whether you want to go there. So it's about whetting people's appetite, giving them a basic feel of what to expect. And when we talk about the basic feel and what things look like, trust building is very important. So through virtual reality and augmented reality, I can show the customer what the cabin looks like on the cruise ship. The customer can simply walk in and get a feel for the size and space and decide whether that is what he or she wants. It's about convincing customers. And that's very important in the information process. Whetting their appetite, then they want more information. And here, virtual and augmented reality play an important role. A part where we really have to work on in the future is customizing, personalization. at the moment, you already see some tourism operators who have apps where you can select what you find interesting, architecture, culture, but maybe not restaurants, but it's still in its infancy. So individual tips and individual information will play an important role also in the future. And the tips are directly integrated. And that would be also nice for the fairgrounds. You walk through the fairgrounds and you get some information about different booths and stands. Substitution. In the panel discussion we saw just now, it was briefly mentioned, if I can travel virtually, do I really travel physically? Already now we substitute things. If you look at the Lascaux cave in France, thousands of people walk into the copy of a cave every year because you cannot enter the real cave, so because the murals have to be protected. And it will be similar in the future. People accept it. I could even look at Pompeii or destroyed cities and see what they looked like before they were destroyed. Palmyra, for example. So you can look at existing things, you can look at things that were destroyed, but you can also look at completely artificial worlds. You can combine or construct your own island, and you can travel there with your goggles. So substitution is sometimes described as something negative, something we should be afraid of. But it's already happening today, and it's probably an advantage. And it's something that you can experience where otherwise you wouldn't be able to see these things anymore because they have been destroyed. And in every trend, there's also a counter trend. That is, people will then also find it attractive to get the real thing. If you have everything in the digital version, you want to feel it, have the real thing, smell it, touch it. And then the real experiences are connected to our five senses and to interaction with people. And this is what augmented reality and virtual reality cannot offer yet at the moment. So at the moment, it's still in its infancy. A lot is already possible. A lot is already possible on a rather low level. This LIA app with brochures and information, which I presented in the beginning, is extremely simple. But it will be all much more exciting when it gets bigger, when we have the right technology in place. So keep an eye on it, follow what's happening there, and what the big players do, because they are the ones that will provide the technology, so everything will also work for normal people. If you have any other questions, just contact me. I think I stayed within my time limit, so if you have any questions, you can ask them now or ask me later one-on-one. Thank you very much for your attention.